Welcome to rSlash Idontworkherelady, where the customer is always wrong. I'm an author on a book tour. I'm in a big chain bookstore, sitting at a table with a stack of my books in front of me and beside a 7-foot tall reproduction of my book cover. I'm chatting with someone while signing their book, and there are 3 people in line behind them. It's my first book, so 3 people in line is huge for me. I'm enjoying the heck out of it, and I'm working my hardest to make sure everyone is having a great time, and they mostly are. Mostly. I start to pick up an impatient vibe from the man at the end of the line. He's kinda huffy, looking around a lot, and keeps trying to make eye contact with me as I'm writing a somewhat lengthy dedication for the person at the front. The front person asks if we can take a photo together. I say of course because I am so not used to anyone wanting to take a picture with me, and I'm totally an attention hog. This really sets Grumpy Man off. Really? He barks. I'm trying my best to not be mad at Grumpy Man because he's in line to buy my book. Maybe he's had an awful day. Maybe he's late for dinner. Maybe his parking meter ran out 5 minutes ago and he has so many parking tickets that they'll tow his car. Who knows? So I asked the other people in line if it's okay for this gentleman to jump ahead since he seems to be pressed for time. And everyone is cool with it. I motion for him to come on up. He plops a bag down on the signing table, pulls out 3 copies of Geddy Lee's Big Book of Bass, and says, "I need to return these." Oh no. I put on my best apologetic smile. "I'm so sorry for the confusion," I say, gesturing at my stack of books and the giant sign beside me. "I'm the author of this book, and I'm here to sign copies of it today." "Do I look like I care? I need to return these," he shouts. "For sure, I get that," I say. "I just don't know how I can help you. I don't work here. I'm just visiting the store to sign my book." I point towards the cash desk about 20 feet away and say, "I'm sure that the awesome people who work at the store will be happy to help you." "I stood in this line. I need you to help me," he snaps. I'm pretty convinced that he's not listening to me. "I'm so sorry about that confusion. It makes sense. There was a line of people, you figured it was a line for the cash, and you stood in it. But it turns out it was a line to get my autograph. The good news is that there's no line at the cash." I point again towards the actual cash. The other people in line are having a great time watching this show, and a few people have come creeping over from the coffee shop attached to the bookstore to get a better view. "Cut out this author BS, shouts Grumpy Man, "and get me your manager." I stand up very slowly. I pick up a copy of my book from the stack and flip to the About the Author page. I hold it up beside my face and make the same smirking grin that I'm wearing in the headshot printed in the book. This visual aid seems to have worked because Grumpy Man grabbed his 3 copies of Geddy Lee's Big Book of Bass and toddler stomped his way over to the actual cash. P.S. I wrote, "Cut out this author BS and get me your manager" below my signature for the people who witnessed this absurd event. What kind of idiot sees someone take a selfie with a cashier and be like, "Oh man, why are these people taking pictures of cashiers and wasting my time?" How did this moron not figure this out? Our next Reddit post is from Linux. "So, me and my girlfriend were hanging out in this store that had a bit of everything when she decided to look for some covers for her phone. I stayed in a corridor near there looking at the tech stuff when suddenly a lady comes in. I was wearing jeans and a red polo. I guess she confused me for an employee even if they had a blue uniform. 'Hey you, can you tell me where I can get this certain item?' I look around for a second before looking back at her. I don't know what..." She interrupts me before I could say the magic word, "I don't work here," and says, "You brown people are all the same. Don't know how to treat customers. Disgusting." I couldn't help but make a face as she left. I'm about to go find my girlfriend and tell her the story about this crazy lady, but before I could reach her, this lady comes back. And I kid you not, she starts spraying those house deodorants in my face, blinding me. "Serves you right for being lazy and a racial slur." I scream, "Help!" My girlfriend heard me yelling and came, and before I could say anything, I could hear the lady realize that I didn't in fact work there. As my girlfriend calls the police, and I guess staff didn't let her leave because when I could see her again after washing my eyes, she was crying getting arrested. Police asked if I'd like to press charges. I said yes. Even if I was an employee there, that's no way to treat people. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Man, what's even her defense for something like this? "No, Your Honor. You see, I thought he was an employee, so of course that was perfectly justifiable behavior." Our next Reddit post is from Manta Ray Bill. Guys, holy flip, I am so excited to share this post because I've been lurking on this sub forever and I never in a million years thought I'd get to write my own post, but here we go. Sorry it's so long. Paraphrasing slightly because I can't remember the exact words everyone said, but my friend who was there helped me write this, so it's reasonably accurate. So, I've been off work for a couple of weeks. I've been sick and injured, and I'm getting super bored cooped up at home all the time. So, I decided to go visit my friend, let's call him Tim, at a hardware/gardening store that some Australians might know because it's the only freaking hardware store in the country anymore. They have pretty distinctive uniforms consisting of blue jeans, steel-toed boots, and a company-issued red polo shirt. It's just hitting into spring in Australia, so I'm pretty happy just wearing chinos and a shirt out. Now, the shirt I wore is technically red, but it's like a deep burgundy, nothing like the bright red shirts staff wear. So I head into the store and wander around for a bit trying to find Tim. I see him with a customer, he sees me and says, "Hi sir, I'll just finish with this customer and then I'll come help you," which is obviously sneaky code for "give me a minute and then we can hang out." So I head down the back of the store and start fiddling with some socket sets, debating if I should buy one since I've lost my old set and just generally killing time until my friend comes to find me. Then I hear a sharp ahem from behind me. I turn and see this woman, maybe mid-50s in a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops, looking suspiciously like every Australian's favorite mining magnate, Gina Reinhardt, and she's staring right at me. Thinking she wants something from the rack I'm standing in front of, I say, "Oh, sorry," and step out of the way. She just looks at me for a second and then says, "I need 3 bags of mulch and I want them taken to my car." Instinctively, I just say, "I'm sorry," and she heaves this enormous sigh and goes, "Are you deaf or something? I said I need 3 bags of mulch and I want them taken to my car." And this is where I realize, holy cow, she thinks I work here. And I swear, I must have lit up like an effing Christmas tree because I've always wanted something like this to happen. Especially if they're being a rude grunt about it, and I can have a chance to give them a taste of their own medicine. So I say, "Okay, well, first of all, miss, the gardening section is right down the other end of the warehouse. So I don't know what help you're expecting to get here." Her mouth flaps like an angry fish for a second, and she comes back with, "I want you to do your effing job and get me 3 bags of mulch." My mind is racing, trying to think of all the sick burns I've seen people use on this sub until I hit a good combination. Look, you can tell a lot about a person by the way they treat the staff when they go shopping. For example, it's clear from this interaction that you're a raging thunder grunt who thinks she can treat people like slaves. Furthermore, it's company policy not to tolerate dickheads who abuse staff members, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Gina makes us sound like a horde of angry wasps in a blender and practically hisses at me. "Who the F do you think you are? You can't talk to a customer like that. Take me to your manager right now. You are gone." I'm a little busy here, so why don't you go find the manager and bring them here? Gina stares daggers at me for a few seconds, and I honestly think she's gonna try and hit me or something. And then she swings around and storms out of the aisle. I go back to trying to decide which socket set to get. Like a minute later, my friend finds me in the aisle and is like, "Hey man, what's up?" And I explain what just happened word for word and say she's gone to get the manager, so you should probably bail so you don't get caught up in it. Tim just goes, "F no, I need to see this. I'm staying right here." Pretty sure Dave's the manager today, and he's an effing legend. She's gonna get absolutely destroyed. A couple minutes later, Gina swings around the corner with who I assume is Dave in tow. And as she's stalking down the aisle, she points at me and says, "That one! That's the one who was rude to me." So Dave turns to my friend and is like, "This customer says you abused her and called her a rude name?" "No, not him. I don't give a flip about him. This one," and points to me. And Dave just stops and looks at me for like a solid 5 seconds, visible confusion on his face, and just says, "He doesn't work here?" "BS! He's wearing the uniform." And me, Dave, and Tim just look at each other. Them in their blue jeans and bright red shirts. Me in my tan chinos and dark burgundy top. And Gina glowers at us. "I assure you, he doesn't work here." "Then why is he in uniform?" I say, there's a very simple test you can do for color blindness. Your optometrist should— F you, I can see fine. Are you going to let him talk to me like that? I mean, he's not staff. I can't really tell him what to do. This is ridiculous. You're just trying to cover for him so you don't have to do any paperwork. Ma'am, really, I'm sorry that he was rude to you, but he's not staff. Meanwhile, Tim has backed off because he's getting a hernia trying not to laugh. Gina goes ballistic and lumbers over to him, shoving and screeching. F you! Don't laugh at me. I'll get you all fired. I'm going to call your head office and tell them about the disgraceful treatment I've received. Go ahead, mate. Be sure to tell them how you physically assaulted one of my staff members, but please do it from outside the store. My buddy Tim says, yeah, it's company policy not to tolerate dickheads who abuse staff, so we're gonna have to ask you to leave. And Gina, if possible, goes even redder, literally stamps her foot and screams, turns around and stomps away. Silence. Then Dave just goes, what the F was that? Pretty sure Tim genuinely pissed himself laughing. I explained to Dave about my previous interactions with Gina and that I absolutely did not provoke her, but she was being a total grunt, so she deserved it. Anyway, Dave is a little worried that she might actually call head office, but then again, he was nothing but civil to her. And Tim didn't even really interact with her besides calling her a dickhead, which Dave decided to let slide because she was, in fact, a dickhead. So really, her only complaint is that someone she thought was staff was rude to her. I apologize to Dave for any inconvenience this might cause him. He asked me not to wear a shirt that's even remotely red to the store anymore. And the 1 in a million chance this happened again, I agreed. Tim used his staff discount card to get me a discount when I bought my socket set. Everyone went home happy. Except Gina. F that grunt. Our next Reddit post is from BL Godwin. I was cleaning some kiln shelves off in a ceramic studio during open lab hours. A student and her mother came into the kiln yard, and I overheard the student say, "Oh, my pieces didn't get fired." Not my business. I'm just a student and I'm wrapping up my last personal firing of the semester. A few seconds later, there's an aggressive, almost painful tapping on my shoulder. Why didn't her work get fired? It was supposed to be ready to take home today. The student says, "Mom, that's not my teacher." This goes unheard or ignored by the mother. Sorry, I'm just a student here. I don't fire others' work. We need her work done by Friday. She's graduating and we're leaving the state. You're so selfish for not putting her stuff in that kiln. I saw how much room you have in there. The student looks absolutely mortified behind her mom. I explained that I was firing porcelain and that her daughter's work was low fire clay and would have melted in the kiln. I also state that I'm not allowed to fire other students' pieces unless given the go-ahead by the professor. That is unacceptable. Get off your fat butt and fire her work. I paid $1,500, which is BS by the way, for this class and she's going to take home everything she made. I go back into the studio. The mom, following me into the upper division area which is off limits to most people. Get back here. I ignore her, just trying to wrap up a couple bowls so I can put them in my bag. She then notices all the work in the advanced space and starts touching it. Why aren't the intro classes given projects like this? For how much the course is, the content should be better. The student says, Mom, we need to learn the basics first. I'm now blocked from exiting the space by a very angry woman who's got her hand on a sculpture my classmate has been working on all semester. She keeps telling me I'm lazy and that firing takes no effort because the kilns are self-regulating. Our kilns are gas and need constant monitoring over several hours. Finally, my saving grace arrives. Our shop manager, who's kind of a butthole with a short fuse, but who I appreciate deeply for all he does, appears behind her. I can see the student pale a little bit, knowing what's coming. What the F are you doing in the advanced space? The mom starts going off again. My lab manager looks calmly at me and tells me I can go. He clears the way and I take my chance. And just as I'm leaving the studio, I hear him start yelling. Justice at last, but my God. I think this story has shown us why the lab manager has become a bit of a butthole with a short fuse. I mean, can you blame him? Our next Reddit post is from Ableist Mage. I'm a DSD vendor/pull-up, which is a person who stocks something in the store for a specific brand, but isn't employed by the store and typically has multiple stores to visit, and typically a distinctly different uniform, if any uniform at all. I get easily 5 to 10 I don't work here lady incidents per day and have easily a dozen stories of this nature that are real special. So I'll pick possibly my favorite. One of my route stops is a Walmart, which I also shop at, so I know where things are generally. This already irate lady storms over to me, clearly not noticing that my clothes do not match an employee's, and only seeing that I'm putting things on the shelf. She demands I tell her where the pretzels are because no one else will help her. Well, I don't work here, but I do shop here, and I know there are several places for them. What kind are you looking for? Just tell me where the pretzels are. Is that not clear enough? Do you want plain ones? Do you want chocolate covered ones? Do you want flavored? The McDonald's up front sells the big doughy pretzels. Just tell me where the pretzels are. Well, the chocolate covered ones are over by the candy on the other side of the store that way. Over that way? The customer service here is hideous. Except I don't work here, so your experience with me doesn't count. She storms off. Sometime later she comes back with a manager, pointing at me for not helping her. The manager looks at me, looks at the lady, looks at me, looks at the lady. The manager says, "He doesn't work for us, ma'am. People who work here wear a blue vest. What is it you're wanting to find?" Just tell me where the pretzels are. Well, we have multiple places. Do you want the hot and fluffy kind, chocolate covered, the plain salted kind? She finally just leaves the store. Manager and I both just shrug and resume regular tasks. Honestly, this story sounds like something you'd see out of a sitcom. That was rSlash I don't work here lady, and if you like this video then please let me know by hitting that like button because it really helps my channel grow.